Oh. There he is. Nicer fish too. Nicer fish too. Nicer fish. There he is. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to another episode of Bassing with Captain Lou. Guys, it's one of those top water days, but they're very specific. Yes, I caught one on a hollow body frog, but stick around. I've also caught him on a very popular bait, and it's very noisy, and it elicits very big strikes. So stick around and I'll show you guys what that lure is as well. It's gonna be a fun episode. I haven't fished this area in the Glades since last year. The water's up. I mean, you could tell based upon these branches. When the water's low, these branches are exposed. However, I'm getting favorable reports that regardless of the water levels, there has been a good bass bite. So if you guys watched my top water bass fishing with python hunters video, and I'll put that link at the end of the video. I like fishing the hollow body frog to bypass a lot of the quote unquote junk fish. And we have a lot of Oscars and other types of exotics that loves to pester top water baits, especially treble hook baits. And you'll go through loads and loads of them because they'll hit those treble hook baits. But if you fish with a hollow body frog, like I mentioned on that video, you get to bypass a lot of those hookups because what they do is they just mess around with the skirts. And with a bigger frog, those Oscars, it's not unheard of, but it's very rare that you'll hook up to these fish because of these bigger hooks. Two fish that you will not bypass, however, will be mudfish and gar. They will tear up your frog, so you have to be aware of that as well. Whoa. Oh my goodness, that was a nice bass. We are entering a transition month, meaning in March. This is early March. This is the time of year where the Everglades starts to wake up. The next few months is when the Everglades really starts to come alive. Whoa, look at that big boy coming for my frog. He is hell-bent on coming for my frog. You guys see that alligator? Yeah. They're not going anywhere with those hooks. There's something about these big walking baits with this big old, you guys hear that? And these big old hooks. When they hit it hard. Oh. Whew. There he is. He hit that one. He got it that time. He got it that time. It's a nice chunk. Again, hit the big spook bait. So that's two on this big spook bait. So let's see if a pattern emerges. On this particular stretch, so I could give you guys some context, what happens is the bank extends out about 15 feet. So it starts off at a few inches of water and then it eventually ends up at around 5 feet here and then it drops off. So what I'm doing is I'm targeting the bass at each of these little points in here, and they happen to be sitting in there. So let's see if I'm right. Oh, there he is. Little guy. But nonetheless, he's hitting this thing. So it looks like I may have established a pattern with this. But due to the wind to my face, I gotta make sure that I get as close to the bank as possible. Yep, there's another one. So it looks like once I'm able to identify there's a bass, they can't resist. They'll just keep messing with the spook until they get hooked. The thing about it is they're small, but with a big spook bait like that, you'll never know when a giant will come from the deep and just annihilate it. So this is a good sign. There he is. Got that one. Got that one. Decent, I mean a little guy, but still fun. So I've identified this spook bait as the target bait right now, or the target lure. They're starting to hit it. So what I'm doing now is I'm fine-tuning my approach, and I'm trying to identify at what point are they hitting it. Are they hitting it when I'm fishing it aggressive? Are they hitting it when I'm fishing it slowly? Or are they blowing up on it when it's paused? And so far, they're hitting when it's paused and right about to move. That's when they're hitting it. But they're not hitting it aggressively, they're just doing like a slurp on it. So, I mean, I'll take it either way, but that's the thing that you have to take notes of, is identifying first your target zone, and then B, which is how are they hitting that bait. I enjoy fishing with big spooks because an angler could cover a lot of water due to its weight. So I could sling this thing 30, 35 yards, and I could also see where those bass are coming from. I could tell you guys that the bass are coming from the bank to the bait versus the deep to the bait. So now I know that I have to start focusing my attention closer to the bank side if I want to elicit a strike. That was a good hit. That was a good hit. That was a fun hit. That was a fun hit. He hit right underneath those branches over there. It's very important to pay attention to details. These bass are holding underneath the branches. So every time I pass this bait in the vicinity of the branches, they're coming from underneath the branches and then exploding on it or chasing after the bait. So now that I know that, and there's a bunch of trees in the water, I'm gonna start focusing my attention specifically to submerged branches. The challenge with casting around branches that you're gonna be around other types of vegetation as well and catch on to all of that stuff with a treble bait. See that branch over there? Let's see if they're hitting, let's see if they're staged on that point over there. There he is. Told you. Told you. They're in the vicinity of those. Look at that. They're in the vicinity of those branches. This changes my approach completely now, because now I have a target. So that's why I say to you guys in a lot of my videos, you gotta pay attention to the details. You just can't go blindly along just fishing, because these fish give you clues. And for those anglers that pay attention to those clues, those are the ones that are a lot more successful in their outings. So now, as you guys can see, I am approaching a bank line that's full of branches. So let me see if I can capitalize on that bite. Boat positioning also plays an important role in this too. You want to be able to get parallel to all those branches. That way you can maximize the entire line. If indeed they're underneath those branches. We'll see now. There he is. There he is. It's a nicer fish too. Well, no, he's feisty. Oh, hook's pulled off. I gotta adjust this drag a little. There he is. There he is. It's a nicer fish too. Nicer fish. Nicer fish. There he is. There he is. It's a nice one. This is a nice one. Feels pretty good and rewarding when you come across a pattern, especially when it's early in the outing, because now I can start fine-tuning and I can start doing things. Now that I can identify the bite, I can start targeting bigger fish. And what's encouraging is that there is so much targets that I can take advantage of. So if there's anything I could drive home to you guys, is pay attention to the details, because sometimes that's what it is. It's all in those details. So as I mentioned, boat position is important. So I want to be able to get as close to these branches as possible and be able to move in the vicinity of them, better yet underneath them if I could, because those bass are just holding underneath those branches. And the strikes are fast. There's another one. The strikes are fast and vicious. Told you. There it is again. Yep, there he is. Yeah, man, they're going to town on this thing. There he is. Now it's getting to the point, it's almost every cast. I know that they're small, medium-sized bass. It doesn't mean that a giant won't come around and play as well. So I still got to keep my eyes open and my wits about me. But the bite's turned on, that's for sure. And the water underneath these branches is anywhere between 1 to 2 feet in depth. See if I can show you guys. As you guys can see here, look. They're staging all underneath those branches. You see that? And the water depth is not that much, and the water runs still a few feet into the bank. But right underneath these branches, that's where they're holding up on. At least today. I wish I could tell you that's the case all the time, but that's not the case when it comes to bass fishing. That's the case today. I enjoy this lure so much because it can be fished so many different ways. Meaning, yes, the concept is to be walked. I know it's a topwater lure. It can't sink, it can't dive, it can't do any of these other things. But what I mean, it can be fished in different ways. You can walk this lure so aggressively to elicit a strike. You could also walk this lure so slowly and lazily. I mean, so many different types of ways that you could have fun with it, but by the same token, it provides you clues with the type of mood the bass are in. Obviously, if that bait is not getting touched in any which way, then it's not the right time for it. But when you've narrowed down the bite, there he is, look at that, talking to you guys. Just talking to you guys, and I'm getting strikes. Look at that one. So like I was saying, is you could fish this bait in so many different ways to elicit a strike. These style of baits come with rattles and without rattles. In my particular case, and I'm sure you guys can hear it in my audio, I'm utilizing rattles, and I think what's happening is that it's aggravating the hell out of them, and they come up and just crush it, which is one way to fish it. The quiet ones also, the ones with no rattles, could also be utilized, especially when you got that act topwater bite. You could also utilize the quiet one. I like rattles. It just adds another component to it, so give it a shot. It was a pretty fun topwater bite. Fortunately, I came across the pattern. They were hitting that spook bait pretty good, and they started hitting the torpedo bait or the prop bait a little better too. I did catch some on a frog, and I did catch some below on a T-rig. So all in all, I'll call it a successful outing. Unfortunately, it wasn't a lot of big fish, or there weren't any big fish. I think the biggest I caught was maybe 3 pounds. But again, it was pretty fun, especially when it's topwater. I appreciate you guys for watching. Like the video, share the video, better yet, subscribe to my community. It is growing. And maybe next time I'll bring some bigger fish to the boat. But thanks again, guys. Take care of yourselves.